Hi friends, it's Miss Hannah here, and today we are going to read Growing Trees. I wonder what this book is going to be about just based off of the cover and the title. I bet it's going to be about trees. Let's see. This is a picture of my tree and me. We've been growing up together for a whole year. It all began last summer. I went to visit a national forest with my mom and dad. A national forest is a forest that is maintained by the federal government, and it has lots of trees and plants and bushes. A forest is a great place to learn about trees. There are trees as far as you can see. We took a hike with a forester. A forester is somebody that knows the national forest like the back of their hand. They know everything about the forest and can take you on a tour. The forester showed us small young trees and big old trees that were growing like towering giants. Then he explained the life cycle of a tree. It all starts out with a seed. In the spring, the warm sun makes the seed germinate or begin to grow. The seed sprouts a small root that grows down into the ground. The root absorbs water and minerals from the soil. So as you can see, here's the little seed. And then it slowly starts to get some roots that goes down into the soil. Next, a small stem pushes up out of the ground and grows 2 tiny seed leaves. The leaves use sunlight to give the tree energy to grow. A new growth, called a shoot, appears at the tip of the stem. The larger leaves grow from the shoot. The seedling is on its way to becoming a tree. The young tree keeps growing if it has enough water and sunlight to survive. In its next year of life, the tree grows buds that may turn into leaves. Soon the tree has branches, a woody trunk, bark, and lots of leaves. Here's her tree starting to grow. Here's the trunk, and the bark is on the trunk. Each year, the tree grows taller and its trunk gets wider. A forester can tell how old a tree is by counting its rings. A tree trunk has 1 ring for each year it's been alive. This tree was more than 100 years old. Look at how many rings that trunk has. Can you see it? A forester can also find out how old a living tree is by using a tree borer, a tool that takes out a small part of the tree without hurting it. This is the tool they can use to see how old a tree is. After our trip to the forest, I wanted to grow a tree of my own. Dad took me to the nursery where you can buy flowers, shrubs, and trees. A nursery is like a greenhouse where they grow all these plants and you can go and buy them. A nursery has trees that have grown big enough to transplant or plant in a new place. The nursery workers showed me trees that have flowers in the spring and fruit in the summer. We looked at trees with soft leaves and trees with pine needles. I chose a maple tree. My tree was already more than 4 feet high. Just a little taller than me. The nursery worker helped us choose a shovel to plant the tree. She recommended organic fertilizer to feed the tree as it grew. Then she went over the instructions on how to plant my tree. I picked out a place in our backyard where the tree would have lots of sunlight and lots of room to grow. Then Dad and I dug a hole with the shovel. The hole was as deep as the tree's root ball and 3 times as wide. We carefully lowered the tree into the hole. We loosened the burlap bag around the roots. Next, we filled in the soil around the tree. I added the organic fertilizer to the soil and sprinkled mulch on top. Then I gave my tree a nice little drink of water. So here's the root ball that they're planting into the ground. Dad asked an arborist to check the other trees in our yard. An arborist is like a doctor for trees. She pruned the branches of our big tree with pruning shears. She decided to check all the trees for any signs of disease. Disease is like a sickness. She also listened for bugs by using a stethoscope like a doctor. One of our oldest trees had been damaged in a storm. The arborist used a handsaw and a chainsaw to cut off the broken limbs. There's the tree doctor. I asked the arborist to check my tree. She said it was doing just fine. She added a stake to help it grow straight. When the weather turned cold, my green leaves turned bright red. Then they twirled to the ground. So her tree leaves changed colors, and then they fell to the ground. The next spring, my tree grew buds that turned into leaves. Over the summer, it grew branches with more leaves. Its trunk grew thicker. This is a leaf from my red maple tree. It has 3 lobes that have sawtoothed edges. The bark is dark gray and rough with little ridges. There's her maple leaf tree. All summer, I watered my tree and checked for insects. It just kept growing. The arborist said my tree could grow 60 feet high. That's taller than my house. Look at my tree now. It's much taller than me. If I take a good care of it, it will be around for a long time. A tree is a great friend to grow up with. Her tree is getting taller. You can plant a tree too. Which tree would you choose to plant? Let's see what they have. They have oak tree, palm tree, a pine tree, weeping willow tree, Japanese maple tree, and a sweet cherry tree. Which tree would you guys pick to plant? Do you guys have any trees in your yard? Let us know. Bye!